All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here today at the U.S. Naval Academy for this media availability. We're going to take some time today to talk about the life of Midshipman Justin Zemser. In order to start that off, I'm going to introduce Vice Admiral Ted Carter, the Superintendent of the U.S. Naval Academy. At the conclusion of Vice Admiral Carter's opening statement, we'll start some Q&A. We'll start it right off here to the left. Everyone will have time for one question and one follow-up. Again, thank you very, very much for being here today. Vice Admiral Carter.
Good morning. On behalf of the entire United States Naval Academy, our faculty, our staff, our coaches, and most especially the 4,400 strong brigade of midshipmen, I'd like to express our deepest sympathies for the loss of Midshipman Third Class Justin Zemser to the entire Zemser family. As many of you come to know over the recent hours, Midshipman Zemser was an exceptional young man. He was a valedictorian of his high school from Rockaway Bay up in New York, just outside of Queens. In his 2 years here at the United States Naval Academy, he was an exceptional young wide receiver for our undefeated sprint football team. He was a proven academic as an English major. And maybe most importantly, he proved himself as a young man of character and consequence, helping to lead the brigade. And he was also a leader of the Jewish faith family here at the United States Naval Academy. I had the opportunity to talk to his father, Harold, and his mother, Susan, up in New York yesterday, and I had a chance to express my personal condolences on behalf of the Brigade of Midshipmen. And I reminded them that the legacy of this young man, Midshipman Third Class Justin Zemser, will never be forgotten by the brigade, and that the Zemser family will forever be part of our United States Naval Academy family. Now, I'd like to have the opportunity to take a few questions.
Brian?
I know that there have been several tragedies involving midshipmen over the past year or so. How is that affecting the brigade community, if you could speak to that?
Yeah, it's always tough to have a loss of midshipmen. I will share with you that there are 5 service academies here in our country: the Air Force Academy out in Colorado Springs, obviously West Point up in New York, the Merchant Marine Academy, and the Coast Guard Academy. And we stay very tight connected to each other. I've heard from all of my fellow superintendents, whenever we lose a midshipman or a cadet, it's a tragic loss for our nation. These are the future leaders of our military and our nation. And unfortunately, in the military, there is this experience of loss of life because of what we do. And it's unfortunate that we have to teach these young men and women those facts of life at such a young, early age. But we take each loss of life and make sure that we honor that sacrifice above self that these young men and women come to our service academies with.
Midshipman Teal, could I ask you?
Yes.
Could you step up to the microphone just so that
Go ahead.
everyone can hear it? Can I just ask you, what's it like being here today, and how are you feeling?
To be honest, I'm just in shock. It's really, I've never gone through something like this before. I only knew him for 2 years, but I was closer with him, and I knew more about him. He knew more about me. We were closer than I am with any friend I've had my entire life. At this point, I don't think I've really come to recognize that it's happened. So I'm just in shock and looking forward to being with Susan and Howie up in New York.
Thank you.
Sure. If you want to just maybe talk, can you expand on his leadership role maybe on the sprint football team?
I think I'd like Coach Lake here to come up here and talk about Major Lake.
Hi, everybody. I've had Justin on my team for about 2 years. He didn't make the team the first year. He came to me and said, I want to be a manager so I can stay with the guys. And just from interacting with him on a daily basis, you realize that there's something special about this young man. The way he goes about interacting with people, teammates, coaches, the way he goes about doing business. He's always first there. You know, you ask him to do something, he runs and he gets it done quickly. So very focused. You know, at that point, as a coach, you're rooting for this guy. You know, I want you to make the team, Justin. I want you to hang out. And he worked so diligently. And this year, in 2014, when he returned, he was much improved, and you know, continued to show through action what kind of person he is. Not just as a player, but as this wonderful young man. Justin was beautiful inside and out, and he leads through action. You know, he doesn't really talk a whole lot. You know, he's great with everybody, fits in with everybody.
Nick, I was wondering if you could talk about Justin as a teammate, what it was like playing with him, maybe some of his contributions to the football team.
Justin was relentless. He was the first one in the weight room, last one out. He made everyone want to get better because of just his work ethic. It was daunting at times. His aspirations and just what he was able to accomplish in just his 20 years. I mean, he was an incredible teammate. It's a huge loss.
What's kind of the reaction or the mood of the team right now?
It's pretty gloomy right now, but we're sticking together. We're all just supporting one another. The brigade's supporting us. It's the chaplains, the coaches, coaching staff. Everyone's supporting one another right now.
Would you care to share with us the last time you spent time with Justin?
So last time I saw him, we have an end of the year kind of workout for our freshman class. It's a really big deal for the school. And last time I saw him, he was actually running one of the stations. And with my company, I was leading my company. And I saw him, and he was leading one of the squads in a workout. So that was the last time I saw him.
What was the station?
What's that?
What was the station?
It's called Fourth Quarters.
Two friends, if you just could tell me something, is there a little anecdote or something that you guys have shared about him, a moment that you remember, something funny that you've been talking about in the last hour? Tell those stories.
Go ahead. I mean, it's so soon, just completely flooded with memories. I don't remember him for one thing. You know, I don't remember Justin as one memory or one. You know, it was a 2-year relationship. I mean, we were all as close as we could be to Justin.
Pretty much every time I was with him, it was just a good time. He was always having a good time. He's always smiling. He's always laughing. He just had like an aura about him. I can't remember a bad memory I had with him. So
he was one of those people who, like, you were kind of wondering if he was watching. Like if in the weight room or something, you would push yourself harder because you knew he would be pushing himself harder. So just that presence was really unique.
Next question.
I know this is very fresh for you, and you guys are still in shock over this. Do you have any plans on how you're going to honor him in the future, whether in the next year or the next 2 years?
I mean, formally here at the Academy, we're planning on holding memorial services soon. You know, obviously the funeral in the next day or two. I mean, personally, it's one of those things where Justin, I'll always kind of wonder, you know, what would Justin think? What would Justin do if I'm stuck, or just someone who I would want to ask advice for. So I'm just going to think, what would Justin do?
We had heard yesterday that you wanted to become a Navy SEAL. Could one of you maybe shed some light on that, the conversations you had with him?
Like I said, he had high aspirations. I mean, he trained every day for that. I mean, if he wasn't running 3 miles, he was working out for hours. He worked hard.
the sprint. The Navy sprint team is traditionally one of those teams that produces a lot of Marines and a lot of SEALs. It's just we tend to get the guys that you know, they're usually a little bit smaller than the average football player, and you know, kind of have a chip on their shoulder, and all they know how to do is work hard. And then when they get together, they end up just pushing each other to the limit. We've kind of come to expect that with this team, and Justin was no different. Usually you stand on the sideline as a coach and you watch guys work, and you go and knocking the other coach, going, "Hey, watch this kid. You know, watch this kid. He's relentless. He's never going to stop." You know, and Justin was that guy. So it doesn't surprise me that his intention was to be a SEAL. That's kind of what we expected.
Well,
Actually, first for Rabbi, he was very involved with the Jewish midshipman club.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about his faith, what he did in that club, and how much he'll be missed by the Jewish community, and to hear it?
Absolutely. In everything he did, Justin was one of the most dedicated, driven individuals that I've ever met, and that extends to his faith. The very first time I met him on induction day, when all the plebes show up for the very first time. They're standing outside Alumni Hall, scared, wide-eyed, deer in headlights, and the family specifically asked, "Hey, can we meet the rabbi?" And I will never forget walking out there and meeting his family, and they just pulled you in and accepted you as one of their own. "Hey, it's Howie and Susan. This is Justin. He's going to be with you for the next 4 years." And from then on, I mean, he was a solid attendee. He comes almost every week to services. He started serving. He was on the board of the Jewish Midshipman Club this year, secretary. He was actually elected as the vice president for next year. He was on our, we take an annual spring break trip to Israel. He was on there with 30 other midshipmen this spring, and felt that that was part of his responsibility as a Jewish midshipman, to get involved, to go, to share his faith and his excitement and his enthusiasm with everybody else, and he did it in only the way Justin could. They called him Z. I don't know many other people who can go by one letter and get away with it, but that was Z, and he was the most friendly. He was out there meeting them. Forgot a change purse. Israelis have a lot of small coinage, and borrowed one from our officer representative. It was a Vera Bradley change purse with all the flowers and stuff on it. But he didn't just like keep it in his pocket. He put it on his backpack and flaunted it around, and wore this ridiculous hat with just, I mean, that was him. He was out there making people smile, making people laugh, representing who he was, being active Jewishly, working out, driving people to be their best, and that'll be a huge loss to the Jewish Midshipman Club, to the brigade, to our family.
Rabbi, have you heard from people from the Jewish community, Baltimore, Washington, New York, any synagogue?
Yes, it's out there. The news obviously travels fast. We've had lots of people, Jewish chaplains from all over the military, reaching out to us, local area congregations expressing condolences and seeing what they can do for our midshipmen, and not just the Jewish midshipmen. Like, they want to be in support of everyone. I've experienced loss in the fleet before, and I've never seen a family come together the way they do here at the Naval Academy. The brigade pulls together, they take care of each other, and that extends to the larger communities, the Jewish communities from all over who are reaching out, not just interested in the Jewish midshipmen here, but the brigade as a whole, and taking care of everyone.
I missed anybody. Go ahead, please.
Admiral Carter, how did you share this information to the Academy? What was the general reception? I'm sure it was somber.
Yeah, I'll make just 2 comments on that. Obviously, we found out about it very early in the hours on Wednesday morning. It just so happened that we were having the entire brigade form up for some meetings in preparation for the Secretary of the Navy, Ray Mabus, who was coming that day to make a speech. We made a decision, as we had already known that the parents had been notified of the loss of life of Justin Menser, and as we made the decision that the Commandant of the Naval Academy, Rear Admiral Select Bill Byrne, would notify the entire brigade. We felt it was important that they knew the truth of what had happened, that we would trust them with that information, and we felt it was important that we did that with the speed that we knew that this story would carry. We knew it would be a tough call to pass that information on to them, so that's how they were told. There's one other part of the story for Midshipman Zenser that I don't think has been told just yet, or at least not to great satisfaction. You know, he was actually on leave and decided to come back here to the Naval Academy to be part of a team that led a rite of passage for the plebes, the freshman class of 2018. On Tuesday, they went through a 14-plus hour physical training mission called Sea Trials, and Justin came back and helped lead that and run that for the Brigade of Midshipmen. And only after he went through and got every one of the plebes through that program did he go back on leave. And that says a lot about the type of leader that he was.
All right. It's a question for Midshipman Teal. I know one of the things that we've heard you say is that when he was down, you lifted him up, and when you were down, he lifted you up. Could you talk about some specific instances that you can recall that occurred?
So I think a good example is academically. I mean, if he began he chose systems engineering as his major to start out with. Very challenging major. He succeeded. He was a 4.0 student, and just decided, you know, hey, I'm incredibly good at math and science. I don't enjoy it as much as English. So he changed to English, and you know, it's not. We would help each other with, you know, specific homework assignments and whatnot. But the bigger thing is when, you know, at the end of the night, we're done with our homework, we're about to go to bed, and, you know, one of us might be in a foul mood from something that happened that day, or, you know, we're stressing out about something. We were always very open with each other. We didn't hold anything back. There was never any question of, like, is it okay to talk to him about, you know, this or that. It was always, if you have a problem, you tell the other person. It was mutual.
Did I miss anybody? Anyone have a follow-up?
Can you just talk about the timeline? You said he was on leave and then he came back for that event. Can you talk about how long he was here when he came back?
You know, the midshipmen go through many training blocks in the summer. There are 3 primary ones that last roughly about a month apiece. And then we have a short training block that we call actually Block 0. It's just a couple weeks long. It's a unique block that starts from the completion of their final exams until the first of those 3 major blocks. For some midshipmen, they will go on leave during that period if they're allowed because of the other requirements. So in Midshipman Justin Zemser's case, he was on authorized leave from the period from when he finished his exams to that first training block. But yet he still had enough dedication and spirit in his body. He wanted to come back here and be part of that significant training event for our freshman class. So he came back for that event on Tuesday and then was going back on leave.
Can you tell us how significant the Sea Trials is to kind of help us put in perspective the significance of him coming back?
Sure. The Sea Trials event is one of the culminating physical and mental hardships that the freshman class go through. It started way back in 1998, so it's 17 years that we've been doing that. It is the precursor to the final event where the midshipmen transition from plebes to midshipman 4th class when they climb the 20-foot, 1-foot tall Herndon Monument, and that event will happen next Monday.
Sir, do you know if he returned from leave on Tuesday, the day of Sea Trials?
I don't know exactly when he returned. His roommates may know exactly when he came back. I know he was back here. That event starts at 3 a.m. on Tuesday morning, so I suspect he was here well back before that. Most of the midshipmen that were in an oversight role, as he was, were here well before midnight preparing for that event. It's a full day. It goes from 3 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday afternoon. So it's the oversight and making sure that we get everybody through that safely without injury occurred this year, thanks in great part to the seniors, the juniors, and the sophomores like Midshipman 3rd Class Justin Zenser.
Any other questions?
inching closer?
The only thing I'd like to finish with is somebody asked about how we will memorialize Midshipman Third Class Justin Zenser. There will be a memorial service here at some point. That will be on behalf of the entire Zenser family. But I'll also point out that Justin Zenser will forever be a member of the future graduating class of 2017. His actions will live on in the memories of that class, and I know they will keep him as a classmate forever. Thank you all very much for coming out today.
All right, thank you.